how did you get into yoga?
I found a style of yoga that was very athletic.
I was like, yoga, like I couldn't touch my toes.
Yeah.
You know?
Our bodies and our minds, right? That when we add heat,
Yeah.
we become a little bit more open, a little bit more malleable, a little bit more.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talkin St. I'm your host, Ryan Bogdan. Before I get into today's amazing guest, I want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Bogdan Homes. So if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate here in the greater Tampa Bay area, find our information in the description below, and we will be happy to help them. And one of our lines, we've been saying that luxury is not a price point, it's an experience. So check us out below. And now on to our amazing guest, Carrington Kilgroe, the founder, owner, all great things yoga here in St. Pete. When it has started SunState Yoga near downtown St. Pete. I know a lot of people that have been to your studio. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank
Carrington.
you, Ryan. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, super excited. It's so cool, all the amazing people that we get to meet here in St. Pete. And I know yoga is a thing that's happening all over. There's so many yogis here in St. Pete, whether they're doing yoga out at Vinoy or they're going to some of the awesome studios. Tell us, how did you get into yoga?
Yeah, so I grew up in St. Pete and was never into yoga when I grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
Totally not my vibe. Never would have guessed that I would end up getting into yoga. And I ended up moving to Atlanta after college and was just looking for a job and doing all the applying, the interviewing, and picked up yoga as kind of like a stress management tool. But I always thought that yoga was boring, just like slow. Coming from an athletic background, I just had no interest in it.
What sports did you play?
I played volleyball.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, my entire life.
Yeah.
So, and I had some injuries from that too. So, I found a style of yoga that was very athletic and it didn't hurt my ankles. It challenged me. I was sweaty, sore, and I was hooked immediately. And so, like most other things in my personality, I went 0 to 100 really quickly. And within 2 months, I was signing up for a yoga teacher training.
Okay, got it. So it didn't take very long for you to go from practicing to, okay, I want to dive full in and be a yoga teacher.
Yes, correct. I will say that I signed up for my teacher training not thinking that I would actually teach yoga, just thinking that this is changing my life and I want to learn more about this. But the very first night of teacher training, I remember having this feeling that I've never had before where I was like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means, but there's something here, and this is something that's going to stay with me for a long time.
How powerful is that? To get aligned that quickly.
Yeah.
I have so many conversations with people about being aligned.
Yeah.
Right. And when you are, things just happen effortlessly, right? It just,
for sure,
things come into your life that you're like, how is this even happening? And it's just when you know you're aligned, it's working.
It's pretty cool.
And so, so first night of yoga teacher training, you're feeling, okay, this is it. This is it for me. Learning about this ancient practice. And how, so help people, when you go through yoga teacher training, I know there's some people really close to me, my sister, brother-in-law, I know a few other yoga teachers, and they describe when they go through yoga teacher training, how they learn so much about it that isn't really talked about in the Western society.
For sure.
Because we just think yoga is Lululemon and, you're going to the studio and what kind of mat do you have? But this is a very old practice.
For sure. So a 200-hour teacher training is the baseline for becoming certified, and that still only really like skims the surface because there's so much to learn, right? Because the anatomy portion, the actually standing in front of people, having the confidence to teach, to deliver cues, all of that's still really important. And then you add on top of it the history, the philosophy, the energetics of it. There really is so much to learn. So like our 200-hour is really just the base level. You're just skimming the surface of all there is to learn. And I went through my 200-hour in 2017, and I'm like a forever learner. And I immediately, as soon as that was done, I enrolled in more trainings and more trainings. And so I'm now like 1,000-hour certified.
Wow.
And I have my own 200-hour yoga teacher training that I lead every year at SunState.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go through yoga teacher training. How long did you teach before you're like now
Open the
you
studio.
have a studio? And because that probably wasn't in your vision.
Yeah.
Or was it?
No, not at first. It took a little bit, but I would say that if I started teaching, I would actually say that by the time that I started teaching in December of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And by that point, I had come home for the holidays, and I remember just thinking there was nothing in St. Pete that was anything like what I was doing up in Atlanta. And I had this idea that I would love to open up a studio down here. It didn't happen overnight. So it took 2 years. I opened in December of 2019.
Okay.
And that was definitely something that I was a little insecure about. Was the fact that I hadn't been teaching that long. And, you know.
A limiting belief that you had.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like I knew, fortunately, I was like, I still moved forward. I still went and did the damn thing.
Yes.
But, in the back of my mind, I always was like, oh, gosh, I wonder if people are going to think, like, she doesn't know anything. And the truth is that 3.5 years later, I still get that feeling sometimes because yoga is such a dense, like, so much knowledge that I don't know that I'll be on my deathbed and still not fully understand everything that there is to know about yoga. So,
which may be a beautiful thing about it, which can hold your interest for so long because there's so many avenues to go down, right?
for sure.
Like, you're never going to truly master it.
For sure. I completely agree.
You're going to have to continue to keep learning, and there's going to always be something new, whether it's in a posture or a mindset or philosophy or... Look, for me, for just a little backstory, I did yoga twice a day, every day during COVID.
Yeah.
That's when I got into it. And people were so stressed at that time. I was not. I don't even say it in a braggy way. Like, I just honed in myself and went on this nice little journey with doing yoga twice a day, lots of journaling, doing the work I had to do, staying in my bubble. And everything that was going on around me, like if it didn't directly affect me on a day-to-day, I did not care.
Yeah.
And I attribute a lot of that to yoga and the stress relief and being present and putting myself on the mat time in and time again, which I thought was cool because as a guy, I was like yoga, like I couldn't touch my toes.
Yeah.
So it definitely did a lot for me. So what styles of yoga? What's your thing? Like, tell us about your studio.
Yeah. So we specialize in hot power yoga, which is an athletic style of vinyasa. So vinyasa is essentially linking breath with movement. It's creating flow. So all that to say that the room is heated to 90, 92 degrees. You're moving from one pose into the next. Right. And I do really pride myself on that. I think that all of our classes are all levels. So we don't have like an advanced class or a beginner's class. Now our classes are challenging, but it's challenging whether you're a beginner or advanced. And so I enjoy that because then, as someone who's been doing yoga for a long time, sometimes you still get in these ruts where you can be like, oh, I have to do it this way. And then you look to the person next to you and you're like, oh man, like, look at them taking their knees in chaturanga. I should do that. Why am I not doing that? Or look at them just pushing themselves further than what I've been pushing myself. Like, I want to do that too. And I don't know. I think that's why I love yoga so much in a studio setting is that it's not the same as just rolling out your mat in your backyard or in your living room where you're just by yourself. There's such this energy in the room around you that you're feeding off of, and you feel really connected to the people around you. You feel connected to the teacher. And during like COVID, I remember thinking when all these gyms and stuff are all shifting to online virtual businesses, I was like, if that's really where the future is going, like, I guess I'll close up shop and get out of this business because I don't want to do virtual yoga.
Yeah,
like I want to be in the room with people.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. Because my yoga started using actually Peloton's yoga app, and wasn't in a studio. It was COVID, and I lived in Philadelphia, which was like hyper lockdown.
Yeah.
So it was all just through the TV and myself on the mat, and then to be able to come to studios and start to do all that, I didn't experience a hot yoga class until like way later.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a workout,
Mm-hmm.
in that sense. So that's really cool that you specialize in that, because it is a niche, right? And it's good to find your niche in anything, especially something so broad as yoga is broad in my sense.
It is. And there's so many, like, the saying, like, many paths. Is said a lot about yoga, and it's true. There's so many different paths. I have always firmly believed that rather than trying to do it all and make everyone happy, it's better to do what you do best and just like really make sure that you're the best at that.
Right.
So
Yes. So how far back do you know about hot yoga? Like, that was something that we westernized. What's your?
there's some different thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I think Bikram Chaudhary is really the one who like popularized hot yoga. And I don't know a ton about Bikram and the history of it.
I don't know either.
But to the best of my knowledge, he's really the one who brought hot yoga to the U.S.
I mean, it's definitely helpful.
I enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, it loosens up your muscles.
Yeah.
It also, the heat brings an element of focus, right? So if you think about, we use like the analogy of molding glass. Like when glass is cold, if you try and mold it, it just breaks.
Oh, I like this.
Right? But when you add fire to glass, now you can
Yes.
start to shape the glass.
Yes.
Right? And so that same idea is to our bodies and our minds, right? That when we add heat, we become a little bit more open, a little bit more malleable, a little bit more, I guess, less rigid.
I can agree with that. Yeah. After the few hot yoga classes I've done, it's a different experience than just normal room temperature. What have you seen? Have you had any customers, clients? I don't know what you call them, yogis that come through your door where you've seen a transformation in them, right? From adding this into their lives.
For sure.
Do you have any stories, like without saying names, that you could maybe loosely share?
I mean, I think what's really special is I have a handful of clients who, when I first opened up the studio, I knew so many people in the area from growing up. And so people who would have just never given yoga a shot, like just yoga was not on their radar of getting into, but because they know me and wanted to support me, would show up. And some of them, like those are always some of the most special ones to me. Like I have a mother-daughter pair who have been coming since like the very first day that I opened, and we're never into yoga. I was their first introduction to it. And to this day, they come together 2-3 times a week. One of them went through my teacher training last year. And this has really changed, has really been a transformation for them. And I've gotten to watch their physical practice grow. And I don't know, to me, that is really, really cool to watch people who yoga was just never on their radar
and now,
give it a shot. And now it's like they love it.
That's amazing. That's really cool. And just having trust in you and wanting to come see what you were doing and what you were about. And
sure.
And now it's become a huge part of their lives.
For sure.
That's really, 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 really cool. Talk about that. Okay, so you born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're it's really crazy how many locals we found to get on this show. Because other than the show, most people in my life are not from here.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to always talk to the unicorns, or what I like to.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like opening a business? I know that was scary. Can you walk us through those days of what was that process like for you? How did you start? I want to open a studio. What do you even, did you find location first? Did you come up with a concept? How did that?
I nailed down the concept first. I was working in marketing in Atlanta at the time. And so I got really clear on my brand vision.
Mm-hmm.
Got crystal clear on my mission, my purpose, core values. I mean, just all that stuff that if you Google how to make a brand, all of that. And I really was, I will say, even not from a business standpoint, visually, I could close my eyes and I could see it. I have old journal entries from back in 2017, 2018, where I would describe exactly what I wanted the feeling to feel like. Like I have this one journal entry where I talk about how when people walk in through the studio, they immediately feel at home. They know that they're accepted no matter what, and it's just a fun place to be. You roll your mat out next to one of your friends, and there's music playing, and you're ready to move, and like this is a place where people genuinely just want to be. And it's funny how many people now, I'll have people email me, reach out to me, and they'll almost say those exact words verbatim to me. They'll be like, oh my God, I'm so glad I found SunState. Everyone made me feel so welcomed and at home. Like they'll say those exact words. And so I was very clear in my mind what the vision was. So then it was just about like, all right, how do you make this happen?
Yeah.
And I will say to anyone who's looking to make some big dreams and goals happen, I think the number one advice I would say is tell everyone that you're doing it. Like I told everyone who would listen, I posted on every social media platform, I'm going to open up a yoga studio. I'm going to open up a yoga studio. I had no plan for how this was going to happen, but I told everyone, and then I was like, oh shit. Like
now I have to figure it out.
I have to figure it out or else I'm going to look like a loser who
Right.
didn't do what she said she was going to do.
Yes.
And so to me, I think like when it comes to if there's a big scary goal that you really want to make sure you do,
I like that.
make it like that's what they say, right? Make your goals public.
Yes, and big.
And big. Yeah.
And big. Yeah, so then the accountability of you telling people makes you have to figure it out.
For sure. So then it was just step by step. Okay, what's the next step? It was looking for the right people and the place. That was happening about the same time.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So you were, and what was that like, finding instructors and other people to come in? Because you know you can't just do this by yourself.
For sure. So my whole thing was that I would rather have clean slates that I could kind of work with and teach them how to teach the way that I wanted them to teach. So I connected with one of my teachers who still teaches for me now. Her name's Autumn. And she had just finished up her 200-hour teacher training, and she'd never taught anywhere yet. And it was perfect. I was like, great. Like, do you want to teach? She's like, yeah. I was like, are you open to learning how to teach the way I want you to teach? She was like, yeah. So we spent like 4 days together just boot camping it. And then it just so happened to be that another girl who had been trained by the same person I was trained by just moved to the area. So she was teaching for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I had a few other people who I had like kind of like put together, but our team was small to start. There was maybe 4 or 5 of us.
Right.
And I was teaching like 11, 12 classes a week. So that's just how that started. And really I was looking, when it came to my people, I wasn't looking for the people who were the absolute best yoga teachers out there. I wasn't looking for the most skilled or experienced teachers out there. I wanted good, kind people who had the right kind of attitude, who wanted a place where people could come and feel at home, and that were just really bought into my vision.
Right.
And I was like, if they're bought into my vision, I can teach them to be good teachers.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You use that word at home a lot, and I think that is really important because you need a comfortable space to get vulnerable with yourself.
For sure.
Right, because that's what you're doing when you're on the mat. You know, going especially at a power hot class.
Yeah.
You are pushing yourself to the limit.
For sure. Well, I think that's like yoga for me is a lot about like coming home to myself. Like that's I think when I really got into yoga and just fell in love with the practice, I think I fell in love with the practice because I was learning to fall in love with myself.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. It's so important.
Yeah.
Have you read The Mastery of Love?
I have actually by Don Miguel
Yes.
Ruiz.
Yes.
It's a good book.
So good. I always tell people read the 4 Agreements first.
Yeah.
That's like the high surface level, get you warmed up.
Yeah.
And if you can dive into the Mastery of Love, which is not about how to love other people, but really how to love yourself.
Yeah, it is. I love the little story in it where they talk about like holding the star.
I knew you. Yes. You can't give
your love and expect someone else to hold it for you.
No. Yeah. It was describing like happiness.
Yeah.
Like happiness comes from within, and I have to hold that for myself. And the minute you try to give it away, it's gone.
Yeah.
You lose it.
I love that story.
It's super powerful, and the book tells it a lot better, so you should go read it.
Yeah, I was going to say, our mixed match way of explaining it probably isn't as good as Don Miguel Ruiz
Not as good. I wish,
does.
we could have a little story time and just crack it open right now
Yeah.
and tell you about it. But no, fantastic book. The Four Agreements, that ties into yoga so much, and that self-love piece is just so important, because I don't know, have you found that while you're in a particular pose, weird thoughts come up sometimes?
Totally. Absolutely.
And so, because my experience of what I know about yoga is that we hold emotions into different places of our bodies.
Yeah.
And, for me, probably definitely my hips, right? And so in a pigeon pose, you're like, what is going on in there?
Why is there
Yeah.
this tear?
Yeah.
I swear it's just sweat.
Yeah. What's happening? Yeah, where did that thought come from? And so it's an ancient practice, and they had something figured out a
for sure.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
Yes. It's really cool. So local to St. Pete, tell me about how you've seen, and now you've helped, in terms of, bringing a yoga studio to St. Pete, and have watched it transform as a business owner downtown. What has that experience been like for you?
I mean, St. Pete has grown so much over the years. When I left for college, I loved St. Pete. Like, I enjoyed it, but I never thought I would really come back.
Interesting. You were one of those ones of like, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back. See you later.
Yeah. And not with like any kind of judgment towards people who would, but just like, I just wanted to go do other things. When I graduated from college, I remember thinking like, I can't go back to St. Pete because like no one's getting after stuff back home. Like everyone's just like chilling. They're on their boat by 4 p.m. I need to go where there's a hustle, where there's the grind. And so I went to Atlanta. And of course, what do I find? Yoga, which is trying to teach me how to stop grinding.
Yeah.
No, but I was working actually in Atlanta. I was working at a startup company. And so I definitely got the grind life for 2.5 years. I knew exactly what that was like. And the business opportunity to come back here came up. And ever since being back, it's been about embracing that you can be really successful and have a really positive impact on people without being so, I don't know, self-important that it has like all ambition is the only thing that matters. What you're achieving on every given day is the most important thing. I'm trying to embrace more of a lifestyle of, is the work that I'm doing meaningful? And if so, then how impressive it looks to other people doesn't really matter so much.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
On the outside. That's what I love about St. Pete.
Yeah. And I actually think that is a very St. Pete mentality.
Yes. So has that shifted? Has that always been here? Or did you just notice it now as like being a business owner and being here in your, not?
No, I think St. Pete has always been a humble place.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Like St. Pete, the people here, for the most part, from my experience growing up here, I feel like people don't care as much about like what you have or, showing off or, like you could go to the nicest restaurant in town in jeans and flip-flops and they're not going to like kick you out.
Right.
And to me, that says a lot about just our vibe.
Yeah.
There's
a vibe.
There's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's like, just show up as you are.
Which I've heard many people say.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's enough. And you don't have anything that you need to like prove to other people.
What's St. Pete missing?
I don't know.
That's a
A
good
Lululemon? No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
I really love it here as a native. St. Pete, the south side of St. Pete is missing a good grocery store.
That is facts.
Yeah.
That is facts.
Other than that, though, I think St. Pete's like great.
Yes. Yes. That I agree with that. There is some room to help South St. Pete for sure.
Yeah.
And the grocery store thing is definitely real. Like that. You think that's so simple.
Yeah.
So simple. That's a good one. Haven't heard that yet.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. What are you a reader? Do you listen to audiobooks? What's your...
Yeah. So I have an on again, off again relationship with reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't really do the audiobook. Sometimes I'll download a Kindle book if I'm traveling, so I don't have to carry a ton of books around with me. But I actually really love a hard copy book. I underline, I highlight as I'm reading it. I like being able to open a book that I've read and kind of just like flip and find the pages that have been highlighted and whatnot. So I like physical books.
What if you had to give one book away to someone? What would you choose?
There are 2 books that I have given away several times that I've had to repurchase. The first one is Love Does by Bob Goff. And that one is all about how like embodying the energy of love means that you take action. And sometimes those actions can feel risky and scary, but it's so much better to have just like lived a really big and bold life and messed up a few times than to have held it back. And then the other book is Light is the New Black. And that's an interesting book. That's by Rebecca Campbell. I read that in the year that I had really strong visions for what the studio was going to look like. And I was really battling with whether or not this was a path that I should take or not. And that book just really like gave me the words that I needed in order to have the confidence and faith in myself to like take this leap forward.
So much awesomeness there. And one thought that came up is how neat is it that when we can find the words, it helps us gain so much clarity.
Totally.
Because you may have a thought, but it's so conceptual that you can't describe it or you don't even know what you're feeling.
For sure.
But you read something and you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Some people just have a way with words.
Yeah. You know, it is. And it comes from life experience. No, it's really true. And I love how you described it in your journal that what you wrote there before or as you were starting the studio is now what you're feeling and getting back from your people. And I think that didn't happen by accident.
For sure. I definitely believe in a degree of manifestation.
Yes. Well, everything starts out as a thought. This podcast was a thought.
Yeah.
You know, and now here we are on it, right?
Yeah.
However many episodes deep. And for those of you listening, thank you. Keep doing that. Keep doing that.
Keep listening.
Keep doing that listening thing and sharing. Share it right now. Share this clip right now. Let's make this a clip of me telling them. Share Talkin St. Push the button. Yes. No, everything has to start out as a thought. Yeah. Then we have to formulate the words to put it. If you write it down, it's even more powerful. And then you follow the action plans. And I love your story of how the studio came to be. What are your biggest struggles day to day?
That's a good question. Day to day.
That you're willing to share.
Yeah, no. I'm a pretty open book, actually. Like most people who know me, I am. And I tell my team that. Like, I'm so honest with them. I'm like, y'all, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, sometimes there are times that are like that where I'm like, I don't really know how to handle this. I'm doing the best I can.
Right.
I wouldn't say that I have a lot of day-to-day issues. I would say that over the past year, there have been chunks and moments of time where I've had to deal with challenges. And I would say that it is challenging managing a team of people who, for most of them, this is what they do just for fun rather than their full-time job. And that's fine. I don't want a lot of I actually don't have room on the schedule for a bunch of full-time employees. Right. But it's just very different from companies that I've worked in the past where you have a very typical team structure where we're all sitting around bouncing ideas off each other's head every day or sitting down for a meeting.
Yep.
You know, I got to catch these people kind of when they're in and out and in our quarterly meetings. So sometimes that can be challenging to just make sure that everyone's good. My number one priority is always making sure my team's good.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's important.
I firmly believe that if my team if they're happy and they're good at the studio, then the experience that everyone else has walking through the door is going to be good. And so
that's true. Because if you're putting off a good vibe, good energy, everyone's going to feel that.
Yeah.
You're in the dumps.
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
You're going to feel that too.
For sure.
No, that's really good. It sounds like you have a really strong team in place and you have a really cool thing going.
I love them so much. And like, I would do anything for them. And I know I don't always get it right, but
No, we can't. We're human. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
We make mistakes. Yeah. That's how we learn. Yeah. So back to the Talkin St. Pete-ish, vibe. Where do you like to go eat?
Okay, so there is a place that my boyfriend and I have been going to a lot lately. It's called Bonu Taverna. Have you been yet?
I have. Yeah.
I love the owners or the managers. I don't know them personally, but I love that every time I go, they're always like there checking in on you. How's your meal? How's your experience? Like, I think we've been 3 or 4 times now, and every time someone is there to like check in on us and like make sure that we're like loving the experience. And that's
What do you like to
really
get there?
cool. The lobster ravioli that comes in the vodka sauce.
Oh, I haven't had that yet. That sounds good. I'm
10.
super hungry right now, so that sounds
So
nice.
my boyfriend and I, whenever we go out to eat, we always have to get 2 different things so that way we can eat both. Obviously, like what a waste to both order the same thing. Like,
I
no.
can't do that.
And so we argue over who gets to order that dish. Because if you order it, you do get to eat a little more of it than the other person does, but we do share. So we go back and forth between who gets to order that dish and who has to do something else.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. No, that's a good spot. That's
Yeah.
definitely a good spot. You have any others?
Uptown Eats.
Yes.
Uptown Eats is right next to our studio. They're our next door neighbor, and I could eat their green and things bowl every single day. Their signature iced coffee is amazing. Also, their scones. I never thought I was a scone person. And then I had Uptown Eats' scones, and I was like, whoa, I think I'm a scone person.
What a funny sentence.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Uptown Eats is amazing. There's a lot of great places in town.
There are.
I'm trying to think of some like oldies but goodies. I love Chichio's, which I think is now called Cali.
Oh, yes.
But I still call it Chichio's.
Okay, that's a throwback. See, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm not a local. I don't know
That's
that.
that's like saying like Baywalk. It's like people are like, "What's Baywalk?" And you're like, "Oh, Sundial." And people are like, "Oh,
right. I did know that. That just didn't ring. Yes. It was that before they purchased and redid everything. You're right. Yeah. No, that I'm envious. Not envious, but like to be a local here has to be. I think so cool because this place is transformed.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
I live downtown and I walk around a lot. And so it's really cool to just walk around and see just how much our city is always growing. And every block there's something new going up.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's good that St. Pete's growing. I also, sometimes construction's annoying. So like low key, I'll be like, why are there all these cranes and roads blocked and whatnot? But at the end of the day, I do think it's great as long as things that really make St. Pete stay preserved.
Like what are some of those things to you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, for example, like I saw that El Cap just got bought. It's a burger restaurant on 4th Street. I think that's like so St. Pete. Like El Cap and Harvey's are so St. Pete that like if those ever got like those buildings got knocked down to build some high rise, I'd be devastated. Got it. I'm trying to think like what else.
Just those staple spots.
Staple spots
for you that you've been driving by your whole life that you know.
And I will say I do love that at St. Pete Beach and even up here in Treasure Island, you still kind of feel like you're transported back in time to like this like 60s Florida motel vibe as you're driving up and down. And I really love that those buildings haven't all been knocked down and replaced with like brand new stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hopefully it can stay that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens because there's so much development happening, so much opportunity, and it's happening pretty fast.
Yeah.
So what's the next 5 years look like? You know, there's so many projects that are going to be finished that are literally going to change the skyline of St. Pete. But then what other projects are going to be in place and then, you know, after that are going to be. So it's going to be, I think, cool to watch. And nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
So this moment, this vibe that we have, you have to cherish it, appreciate it, and know that it won't be the same, just as the St. Pete wasn't the same 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
What if people want to come find you? I know they got the studio. How do they find the studio? Do you have online booking? Like, what's all the thing? I want to book a class. Where do I go?
You can go to sunstateyoga.com.
Okay.
And if you go under our schedule tab, you'll see all of our classes listed out there. You can book right there on the website.
Mm-hmm.
We use a platform called Wellness Living.
Okay.
So once you've kind of booked your first class, I usually recommend people download the app. But if you're one of those people, like my boyfriend refuses to download more apps, so he just like keeps the website up to book his classes. And I'm like, it's 20 steps to book it on the website. Just download the freaking app.
Right.
But if you're, so there's both options.
If you're
you have
one of
both
those,
options. Yeah. And then, all of our classes are all levels. So I would say that our yoga for athletes class that we have on Mondays and Wednesdays are a very welcoming place for beginners because it's slightly slower paced.
That's intimidating name though. Yoga for athletes, and you're saying that's the.
Well, it's for athletes because it's like it's a cool down. Like you're recovering from your athletic endeavors.
Got it. Because I read that and I'm like, oh, that's the hard one.
Yeah, no. The description is also on the website too.
Yeah,
so
read
you'll
the
see
descriptions.
It. Read the descriptions.
Yeah.
But really any of our classes are great. And then when you come in, we'll show you all the ropes. Even if you don't have a yoga mat or don't know anything, we have everything that you need for you when you come in.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're welcome home.
Welcome home. Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. And if they want to get in touch, you guys have Instagram, all that fun things?
Absolutely. We're definitely the most active on Instagram at SunState Yoga.
Boom.
We have a Facebook that I monitor, but Facebook.
Yes, I get it. No, it's tough to do all the things. Okay, so definitely check out their website, check out the Instagram. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so much fun. Go do some yoga. Be here now, right? Absolutely. I think is that a good, if you made it this far, comment, be here now. That's like a really good yoga term, right?
Yeah,
be here now. Share with a friend.
There's a book called that, Be Here Now by Ram Dass.
Ram Dass. I haven't read it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Appreciate you all for watching. Thank you. Subscribe, like, share. Go check out SunState Yoga. Book your yoga class. Mind, body, wellness is all super important. Thank you for doing all the fun things, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
Yeah. That was great.
Awesome.
That was really good. That was fun. Time flew.